and then the other one supporting the head. A little support, more support if you need it. The softer version of this pose is going to be taking a softer object, so a towel or a blanket, creating a smaller rectangular fold that's not as high up, and placing that towards the top half of your mat that will hit you between those shoulder blades. So this pose is designed to purposely elevate the chest and heart, release the shoulders. We'll be dropping the arms off to the side of our props. If you're lifted higher up, you'll just let your arms roll off to the side of the body. And then as far as the legs go, if you are lifted higher up, it might be better for our back to keep our knees bent and up. Do lengthen out that low back. Or stretch those legs out over your bolsters or your pillows, creating some length through the whole body here. And we'll give ourselves a moment to allow our body to absorb this pose. Especially if you're on the yoga blocks, you'll be feeling some of that acupressure of the block pressing into those muscles along the spine. So just take some couple deep breaths here, really allowing the exhale to release the weight of the body over these props. The weight of the arms, the shoulders fall away from the body, the elbows and the backs of the hands. It is okay if the head is dropping back slightly. Just make sure we're not overly compressing the cervical vertebra in the back of the neck. Closing our eyes, allowing our mind now to settle down, especially in the evening time, or grounding ourselves, bringing ourselves back down, centering, letting go of all the outside distractions and stimulus from our day. So continue to let the whole body release and relax towards the floor. The low back is sinking into the ground. Soften around that pelvic girdle, the hips, the buttocks and thighs. And all the way down our legs into our ankles, feet, and toes. Do some checking in here. Any areas you maybe are holding on to a little bit more tension tonight. Send a breath to those areas. Allow them to relax a little bit more. Pay special attention to all the little muscles around the face. Eyes sink into the sockets. Release the tongue and lower jaw to gravity. And enjoying this moment of stillness from our day. Pressing that pause button so that we really can reconnect with the body and the breath. Continue to release any tension or tightness we might find. Soften and relax the whole body. And then spread our awareness to the rhythm of the breath. Observe and watch the body breathe. Ideally, breathing in and out through the nose. And noticing that natural expansion that happens as the body takes in fresh air, prana, and oxygen. And noticing that natural contraction as the body lets go of stale old air and energy. So the higher up we are, the more we'll feel that stretch across the chest and around the rib cage, especially on our inhalations. But let's still try to feel a little bit of movement in the abdomen, a little bit of rise and fall. And as we connect to our breath this evening and relax into it, we'll start to try to create our Samavritti pranayama. So our even or equal breath. To do this, to start, we can just mentally count the number that we breathe in on our next inhale. Whatever that number is that we're taking to inhale and fill ourselves up. On our exhale, we will mentally count the same number back out. Over time, we might be able to improve our lung capacity here and increase the length of our breath. So feel free to add 1 or 2 more counts to both the inhale and the exhale, keeping them equal. And then we'll all cycle through 1 more complete round of breath. So the next time we get to an inhalation, this time we will breathe in just as much as we possibly can. Don't worry about the number, just inhale, 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 fill the whole body up, expand, filling ourselves all the way up to the brim. And at the very top of that breath, when we can't take any more breath in, we'll take our time to slowly, mindfully exhale, exhale, exhale. Every drop back out. And at the hair, we're going to have to put in a little bit more effort. So really squeeze. Take the time to empty, empty, empty. When you think you have it all out, exhale a little bit more. And then at the very bottom of that exhale, we will let go of trying to follow and control the breath for a moment. So let it go wherever it wants to go. And then come back to the physical body, feeling the body nice and relaxed at this point, draped over our props. We'll bring some life back into our body, starting with the toes, waking them up. Give the fingertips a little wiggle. Those of us that are lifted a little higher up, bring those forearms alongside of the body to use your elbows. And you might want to step at least 1 or both of your feet back in if the legs are extended. You'll press into the ground and use a little bit of core strength, and you'll lead with the heart to bring the body up and just enough to slide the props out from underneath. We are going to come back down to the ground. If you're lower down to the ground, feel free to bring one arm beside the head and roll to the side to come off your props. Whatever is best for you and your body. And then we'll come right back down to the ground after we clear our space. And then we'll come right back to a nice long body stretch here. So we'll stretch our legs out, bringing the legs and feet together. Draw the shoulder blades down, still feel this nice opening through the heart. Bring the arms down beside the body, palms down. And on our inhale, we'll stretch those arms up to the ceiling all the way overhead. Simultaneously flex those feet. Spread the toes and fingers. Try to stretch, elongate, and lengthen. Exhale, pump those arms down. Simultaneously point the toes forward and draw the navel towards the spine. Inhale, a big stretch. Reach to the farthest point across the room in your fingertips. Really pull those toes to the shins. Your heels might even pop up. Exhale, start hugging your muscles to the bone. Point those toes. Push your arms down through thick mud and draw the belly in. Keep going at your own rhythm. And this should be an equal movement, Samavritti breathing. So if you're inhaling again for about a count of 3 to 4 to 5, whatever it is, your exhale should take just as much time out. We often put a little bit more emphasis on the inhale. Let's try to balance it out tonight. So mentally count those movements and breaths as needed. Remember on the exhale, if we want just a little bit more, the head floats up as we reach our fingertips to the toes, toes point forward, belly in, and then on the inhale, the head comes back down. Good, nice fluid movements. Synchronized movement with the breath is a really nice way to calm the mind and our nervous system. Let's all flow through one more. Water pump pose. Now we're going to meet on our inhale with our arms overhead. So whenever we get there, pause and breathe here. So this pose is a variation of Ardha Chandrasana, sometimes called banana pose. So we're opening our arms as wide as our yoga mat. Our arms are overhead, but open them up wider than the shoulders. They're a little bit more as a V. Now open your legs as wide as your yoga mat. So your heels might be as wide as those bottom corners of your mat. From the ceiling, if someone was looking down, we would look like a capital letter X. So we're stretching in 4 directions right now. Feel yourself being pulled apart, like we're on a traction machine or a medieval torture device, and we're being pulled in all 4 directions. I really want you stretching, stretching, stretching. Big breath in. Now exhale, relax a little bit. This is a variation of Ardha Chandrasana. Draw your belly in so our core stabilizes the back. Float your right ankle all the way over and on top of your left ankle. So you're bringing your right leg over and crossing your right ankle on top of the left. Your low back and hips are flat to the floor. Now take your right arm overhead and take a hold of your right wrist with your left hand. So the left hand is holding the right wrist, and you're going to gently pull your right arm over to the left. So we're creating this crescent moon shape, and we're moving the feet and the arms over to the left and stretching the whole right side of the body. Now the body should still be flat to the floor, so both shoulder blades should still be connected to the ground. This is a lateral stretch. The head can gently move a little bit to the left as well, but really create as much length of the whole right side of the body as possible. Give me a big breath in. On the exhale, release the wrists, slide the arms back open, bring the head to the neutral, and then place your right leg back down so that your body's back into our capital X. Big breath in, stretch out to the 4 directions of the room. Exhale, soften a bit. Swing that left leg over so that the left ankle is now on top of the right ankle. But your hips and low back are still flat to the floor. We're not leaning to the right. Take the left arm overhead. Take a hold of that left wrist with the right hand. So the right hand is holding on and doing the work. The arms are flat to the floor. The shoulders are flat to the floor. We're doing a lateral extension here. So now we should feel a big stretch through the whole left side of the body. A banana shape or a crescent moon shape. It's okay if we bring the head over a little bit to the right. Big breath in, stretch as much of the left side as we can. And then exhale, undo the arms, open them up, head to neutral, and bring that left leg back down. We're back in our capital letter X. One more time. Inhale, reach to those 4 directions. Through the heels, the toes, the fingertips, whatever works best. And then on this exhale, bring the legs back together down the middle of the mat and float the arms all the way back down beside the body. From here, step both feet in, draw the belly in to hug the knees in, and rock it out side to side. So here's a little bit of flexion. We just did some extension. Hands behind the thighs. Let's stretch our legs straight up to the ceiling. Do some nice big intentional flexing and pointing of the feet. So when you point your toes up to the ceiling, really see how far you can stretch out the tops of those feet. And when you flex, intentionally kick those heels up as high as you can. So no willy-nilly, put some effort into it. And then simultaneously press those thighs forward into those hands. Give those hamstrings a little massage. Create a little heat and warmth back there if you like. So a little different tonight. Let's create some length up the backs of those legs a little bit more. We'll hold on to the right thigh, point through the feet. So we're pointing the big toes up to the ceiling. On the inhale, lower that left leg, straight left leg, either all the way down to the ground, or it might stay in a tiny little hover about an inch or 2 before the floor. So if you need more stretching, you're going to bring the left leg all the way down to the ground. If you need a little bit of stabilizing and core work, you'll hover the left leg. But we're going to give some attention to this right leg. So we're trying to get the right leg as straight as possible. You can continue to massage out that hamstring muscle. So we're just doing a scissor stretch here. To intensify it, float the hands up to the calf muscle now. Float the head up. The shoulders might come up a little bit. I'm really extending through the legs, trying to open up the eyes of the knees. Still drawing that belly in, low back is grounded. Some of you might be able to get your nose closer to the knee, or you're going to be more like me. Good. Let's all take a big breath in, stretch those legs. Now on the exhale, release the head down and slowly lower the right leg all the way down. Use your core, pull that belly in. Good, so both legs will eventually end up on the ground. When the right leg touches down, inhale both arms overhead. Stretch it all up. Let your low back gently arch here. Create space through the ribs. Exhale, arms float down, walk the feet in. Draw the belly in to hug the knees in. Stretch out the low back. Both legs stretch up to the ceiling. Purposely flex and point those toes a couple times. Simultaneously press your thighs forward into your hands to get those legs as straight as possible. Now hold on to the left thigh. Inhale, breathing, point through the toes and lower the right leg, either into that little hover or anchor it all the way to the ground. Massage out this left thigh. Little external rotation in the thigh bones as well if you want to get a little bit into those inner thighs. So that means we're just turning the heels in and the toes out slightly. To deepen the stretch, we reach up to the calf muscle. I'm still pointing the right toes forward, left toes up to the ceiling. My head floats up, my shoulders float up. I don't want to collapse too much through my chest. Belly draws in. And with those straight legs, I'm trying to draw the knee closer to the nose. But if the knee has to bend deeply or you find yourself crunching your chin to your chest, let go of it a little bit. We still want to create length here. Big stretch through those legs. Big breath in. Exhale, lower the head, lower the left leg all the way to the ground with control. A lot of precision and control. Yes, good. When that leg touches down, inhale, both arms reach overhead. Stretch it out. Grow an inch taller. Exhale, we'll float our arms down. We'll walk our feet in. We'll hug those knees in. One more time, both legs up. Flex the feet this time. Really pull those toes into the shin bones and open those legs into our wide-legged stretch. Feel free to drop the elbows to the ground and hold on to the thighs, rolling through the ankles. Continue to try to open up the eyes of those knees. Move the hands to the inside if we want a deeper stretch. Shoulders should be relaxed down. We're letting gravity help open up those inner thigh and growing muscles. Take a big breath in. Exhale, squeezes the legs back together. Bend the knees, hug them in. Nose to knees if you want a little stretch for the upper back. And then we'll relax our head down. Arm comes down. Let's roll it over to our side. Pausing for a moment, let our blood pressure regulate. And then we'll press it to the ground and bring our body up. So we'll come into a seated position just for a moment, but I still want us to be propped up on a little bit of lift so that we can create as much length through our spine. We'll do a little bit more of the side stretching and our twist, and then we'll make another transition. So we'll prop ourselves up, any comfortable position with the legs, find those hip bones, so move the flesh out of the way as needed. Sit up tall, low belly draws in. Arms float out to the side, head should be light on the shoulders. Inhale, just the right arm up tonight. Keep that right sit bone anchored, slide along the invisible wall. And I really want you again to create space and length through the waist, the ribcage, and the shoulder. The neck should stay long. Inhale, pull yourself up out of the pose. Use your muscles. Switch those arms, slide in this lateral plane, stretch the whole left side. So the more you can push that left sit bone down, reach and lengthen. One more time to each side, follow the breath. Inhaling and big exhale. One more time to our right, take your time. Inhale, reach both arms up. Bring the palms to touch, exhale to our center. We tend to always sit with the same foot in front that we favor, so switch up the cross of those legs. Sit up tall through the crown of the head. Inhale, reach both arms wide and overhead. Our active twist, exhale, don't lose the length, just rotate to the right. Fingertips may float down, but keep the spine super long. Let's twist everything tonight, the shoulders, the neck, the head, and those eyeballs. Open them really wide, peek behind you. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, squeeze, twist, rotate to the left. Shoulders, head, and eyeballs. One more time to each side. Big breath in. We're creating space and length. We keep it. And then exhale, we rotate and twist, twist, twist. And again, one more time to our left. Let's meet back in center on our next inhale. Big stretch up, reach, reach, reach. Good. Exhale, hands to heart. Going right into our tabletop, so transitioning however works best for our body. Reorganizing here and setting up our strong foundation. So fingers wide, under those shoulders, press into the ground. Try not to hyperextend those elbow joints. Instead, micro bend them so the muscles are doing some of the work. Knees under hips, toes pointed or flexed, whatever feels best for the feet. Spine is in neutral. Now draw that low belly in to stabilize the low back. Tonight we're going to stretch the right leg back. Little balance work here. Let's float that right leg up parallel to the floor. So we're going to do our spinal integration and then flow in Surya Kangasan or sunbird pose. So from here, you're working your right glute, low back, and hamstring. Adding that left arm for the balance. So now the left arm reaches forward. So we're trying to extend away from our midline as much as possible, which means we need to work our midline even more. So the more we extend and create these long levers, it does put pressure on the low back, so you're welcome to modify. But just because we're elongating doesn't mean we lose our strength. So you actually have to tighten up that waistline even more to support these limbs reaching out. Now from here, we found our stillness and our strength. We're going to add movement. So flip the left palm up to the ceiling and point the toes of the right foot. Inhale, try to lift the leg and the arm up higher. Exhale, squeeze the knee and the elbow underneath the body. Inhale, lengthen and lift. Exhale, pull and squeeze. Inhale, lengthen, squeeze the lift, strengthen that back. Exhale. One more. Now the next time we inhale, we're going to reach and extend. Exhale, bring just the left hand down. Right leg is still hovering. Take the right leg over to your left and down to the ground. You can be on the top of the foot or tuck your right toes under. Look over the left shoulder. See if you find your foot back there, and now we're stretching the whole right side again. So pull your right shoulder forward, feel that length. Big breath in. We'll bring the head and the right leg back up to neutral. Exhale, bring the knee down. Fingertips, fists for wrists at any time if your wrists want to break. Take a few rounds of your cat-cow to neutralize. Inhaling, back bending, and lengthening. Exhale, scooping, tucking, and rounding. We'll come back to neutral and we'll do all of that on the other side. So nice, firm, equal foundation, low belly pulled in, hips at level. Left leg stretches back, toes are tucked under. Squeezing the left back side to hover the left leg now parallel to the floor. So tighten those muscles up to hold it up. Right arm reaches forward, palm in, thumb up. Now try to reach away from that midline by using the strength of your midline. So all those muscles that wrap around the waist, Keep breathing. Left arm should be nice and strong. This is our strength and stillness. And then we'll find breath and movement. So turn the right palm up, point the toes of the left foot. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, squeeze the elbow and the knee under the body. Inhale, lengthens and lifts, strengthening the back. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, lengthen and lift. Exhale. One more round. We'll meet on the inhale, lengthening and lifting, hold it up there. Just bring the right hand down as you exhale, equal weight in both hands. Sweep the left leg over to the right, either to the top of the foot or with the toes tucked under. Look over that right shoulder, stretching the whole left side of the body. See if you can find your left foot back there. Pull that left shoulder slightly forward. The low back should still be level, parallel to the floor, so don't dip either into either head. Big breath in, brings the head and the leg back up. Exhale, bring the knee down, fingertips, fists for wrists if you want it, couple cat-cows. Little side movements, hanging out, roly-poly in the shoulders, the neck, whatever feels good. Just get everything back to neutral. Let's give our hands a quick break before we do our low flow and some of our back bending. So toes touching, knees open, child's pose. Continuing with this lengthening if we want it, and the heart opening, hands wide, really reaching the fingertips forward, even floating the wrists and Hasta Bandha, sinking the heart and head here. A little bit more passive. Place your hands underneath your forehead. Rest your head on your hands. Remember, if it's a little bit much on knees in child's pose, sit back on your pillow or keep your hips higher up in the air, resting on your forearms. Give your wrists a break. Stretch out that low back. One more breath. And then inhale, float the head and the body back up. So we're coming right back to tabletop. We'll walk ourselves towards the back of our mat with our toes tucked under. So knees and feet are hips width apart, fingers are spread wide. Walk your hands at least one hand's distance forward so that 45 degrees. Make sure we're not sinking the low back, pulling that low belly in so the back's in neutral. Inhale, glide forward, kneeling plank. So that means the hips come level between the shoulders and the knees. I don't sink and sag here either. I press the ground away from me. On the exhale, we either take our bow, popping the wrists, bowing the head towards the ground, doesn't need to touch. That's just to give our wrists a break. Or we can start with our upper body shoulder strengthening, half chaturangas, bending the elbows to the rib cage. You can always bow it back after that. So let your breath guide you. If the upper body wants a little bit more today, you'll stay in kneeling plank, exhaling, hovering, inhale, straightening. And we'll start to feel this in those triceps or the backs of our upper arms pretty quickly. But the most important thing to remember is don't collapse the spine. So everything stays in neutral position and don't lead with your head. So if you're just dropping your head down and lifting your head up, we're not really doing the work. It might seem like you're doing the work, but you're not. Good, good. Awesome, good job, you guys. I like it. Take your bow as needed. It's better to build up our strength slowly with proper alignment than just tossing the body around willy-nilly. I don't know why I keep saying those words today. I must have been saying that to the kids all day. All right, next time we come forward, we're all gonna come down onto our bellies. If you wanna take it a little bit more slowly, elbows to ribs, head stays in line with the spine, low belly, and we're trying to hover, hover, hover. Then we're gonna drop to our belly. Hands underneath the shoulders. Flatten out the tops of the feet. Feet are wider than the hips to take care of low back, or zip it up into your cobra's tail. Chin forward, pull your shoulder blades together and down your back. Tighten up the back muscles. Inhale, breathing, lift that heart. So you're squeezing the back to stretch the front. Tighten up the glutes purposefully, not unconsciously. Keep the neck long. The eyes may roll forward or up into that third eye center, but the neck stays long. Super strong legs. Keep breathing. You may take breaks as needed. Next inhale, we float those hands up. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. Locust those arms. They reach back now towards the heels. The palms are down. I'm still strengthening my back, squeezing the back. Interweaving all 10 fingers for those of us that want a little bit more heart opening. And then half locust. Inhale, one straight leg up from the hips. You're squeezing the glute and the hamstring. Exhale it down. Inhale, other leg lifts. Exhale it down. Repeat one more time each leg or both legs lift. Whether they're zipped up together or wide apart, strengthen and lengthen. Big breath in, fly off your mat tonight. And then exhale, carefully flop it to the floor. Let it go. Arms float down beside the body. Head may turn or rest on the hands. Let your heels flap open. Observe and notice the body and the breath. Without judgment. Don't label any of it good or bad. Just observe. Turn the head the opposite direction if it's twisted to counter twist for one more breath. And then chin forward, going into this more traditional locust or Shalabhasana, which turns into Scorpio pose. We did this Sunday morning, so if you're in Sunday morning's class, you'll kind of have a recollection of it. Not all of us are going to be able to get our arms all the way underneath the body. So if your elbows are still in flexion, you don't want to be putting pressure on them just yet. You might over time be able to lengthen those muscles out and stretch it out, but do not force it. Just like your knees, you don't want to force anything around the elbow joints. So we'll start with our arms down beside us, palms down. So press your palms down into the ground. The arms are as straight as possible. The chin is forward. Same thing in Bhujangasana. Legs, feet are flat, either wider than your hips or zipped up nice and tight. So some of us might just stay here tonight. If your arms are flat to the floor, you'll lean a little bit to one side, so you can lean a little bit to the left to slide your right arm all the way under. Lean onto that arm and slide the left arm under. Palms down. So the palms are gripping the mat. Fingers are spread wide. And if you can, bring your pinky fingers to touch underneath the body. And then you will feel the bones of your pelvis and your hips pressing into your forearms. And that is intentional compression of the forearms. So palms down, ground through those feet, chin forward, tighten up the back muscles, and inhale, squeeze to lift the right leg up. The right hip is now pressing into the forearm. Keep your hips level in this version. Exhale it down. Inhale, squeeze your left side to lift the left leg up. Keep pressing your arms into the ground, palms into the floor. Exhale it down. Repeat one more time with each leg, or inhale, breathing, both legs lift. A lot of pressure on those arms. Squeeze, lift, lift, lift. And then exhale, mindfully release it down. Lean to one side to roll one arm out, palm up. Lean to the other side to release the other arm. Head may turn to one side. You feel a little tingling, rush, and heat down those arms. That's totally normal. We're getting a nice big rush of blood flow down through the elbows, the wrists, and the fingertips. Heart racing, totally normal. These are powerful poses. They work our heart. Heart's got to work extra hard to pump the blood. Turn the head other direction. One more little breath, or big breath. And then chin forward, hands underneath the shoulders. So we did a big stretch, now a little strengthening. Tuck those toes under, pull that low belly in, and inhale, press it up. We just did some back bending, so we may revisit tabletop and start off with some baby cat-cows to give our back muscles a little stretch. At any time, you may carefully sit back into a child's pose if you feel like you need a bigger stretch for the back. And then when we're ready, we will tuck our toes under, hands will walk slightly forward, Pull that belly in and float it up into our inverted V. Some schools of yoga actually call this pose Tadasana or mountain because from the side we look like a mountain. Our hips are the peak of the mountain and our hands and our feet are the wide base of the mountain, otherwise known as Adho Mukha Svanasana or downward facing dog. So let's give the backs of their legs a nice big stretch here. So on our next inhale, let's float those heels up as high as we can. Look at your toes. Now exhale, sink just the left heel to the ground and bend the right knee. Keep your hips level, don't sink the hips. Distribute the weight evenly in the hands. Those of us that want a little bit more tonight, float your right leg up from the floor, parallel to the ground, just like we did in tabletop pose. The foot is flexed. You're pressing the sole of your right foot into an invisible wall. This will intensify the stretch down the back of the left leg. It will also work your back and your core a little bit more. Big breath in. Exhale, bring the right foot down to the ground. Take a breath. Inhale, both heels up. Exhale, sink the right heel down, bend the left knee. Keep your hips level, low belly in, draw those shoulders down the back, the head should be floating. Root to the mounded index finger and thumb. Choose to stay here or engage and float your left leg just parallel to the floor. We're not going into the down dog splits. We're pressing the sole of the foot straight back from the hip into an invisible wall. This will actually work the core more, keeping your hips level, low belly in. And let that right heel sink to the ground. We'll feel a big stretch up the back of the right leg. Big breath in. And then exhale, left foot down, equal weight through the feet. Simply bend your knees if you need a little decompression for that back. Inhale, looking forward, walking feet to hands, hands to feet, forward fold. Still in an inversion. So all these are inversions, heads below the heart, so be mindful. If we're not forward folding, we're taking our modification with our elbows or hands on our thighs, or even coming up to standing. Those of us in Uttanasana, pull those low bellies in, sway the shoulders, the head and neck, or ragdoll hands to elbows if you like. And then tonight, we're gonna roll it up, articulating the spine. So a little micro bend in the knees, hands to thighs, fingers turn in, tuck the chin. We're gonna round it up. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Make sure you're inhaling, inhaling, inhaling. Head's the last thing to come up, roll your shoulders up. Give them a little squeeze by the ears, and then exhale, pull those shoulders back and down. Turn the palms forward, float the arms slightly out from beside the body, head on top of the shoulders, so that we find ourselves standing in Tadasana. Still pulling that front body to back body, unlocking the knees, grounding through the four corners of the feet, so pick up the toes to help that. No tension in the face and neck. A little bit of strength between those shoulder blades. On our inhale, draw that big circle. So reach out as wide as possible, all the way overhead. Add those heels. So heels up. Reach, reach, reach. Grow 2 inches taller this time. Bring the palms to touch and exhale. Try to slowly lower down. 2 more times, palm tree pose. Inhale, big circle out and up. Heels up. Reach and extend. You can try to take your drishti up. Exhale down. 1 more. Next time we come down, let's try to step the insides of the feet and legs to touch. So we're practicing another version of Ardha Chandrasana or half moon pose. So my people, like myself, that take care of my low back, you need to be really mindful of this pose. It is lateral extension. So there should not be any twisting or flexion in this pose. And you might not just go as far. I don't have a lot of mobility in this pose anyway. Just don't overdo it. So insides of the feet and legs together, and it turns into a little bit of a balance pose as well. Inhale those arms back overhead. For tonight, When we reach overhead, we're gonna take a hold of the left wrist with the right hand, like we did when we were lying down on the ground. This is a little different of a version. Now we wanna keep the arms straight. For this version, because we are thinking about lengthening up through the waist and the rib cage, you may draw your shoulders up by your ears, as long as that's not creating more tension. If it is, shrug them away from the ears a little bit. But we're concentrating more on lengthening the upper body away from the lower body. Unlock those knees, nice strong legs. Breathe it in. On the exhale, start to shift your hips over to the left. Let your right arm pull that left arm over to your right. Both arms are straight and strong. So your hips are moving to the left. You're moving laterally. So your hips should both be facing forward. Your shoulders should be facing forward. Don't let your left shoulder fall forward. Lean against an invisible wall, and your throat should be open, and that right arm is super strong. It's doing all the work. And it's so strong that your head should actually just be able to release and relax on that bicep. Press equally through both feet, or if you want a little bit more, press that gas pedal through the sole of the left foot. Little sips of air. I know it's hard to breathe in this pose. Tighten up those glutes a little bit if you need a little help. One more breath, inhaling. Exhale, half moon, big side stretch. Now on this inhale, we gotta pull ourselves up. So you have to contract the muscles along the left side. Open your arms up. Exhale, float those arms down into Tadasana. Turn the palms forward and let them relax a little bit. Some of you might feel like your arms kind of want to float up and away from the body, and that's totally normal. We're actually creating some tension here in the shoulders, so when we release those muscles, might have to let go because they just work so hard, which is good. Inhale, reach it up. So this time we're taking hold of the right wrist with the left hand. That palm can face forward. Unlock the knees, the legs are strong, equal weight in both feet. Keep your shoulders and hips facing forward. Breathe it in. Create that length, and on the exhale, move your hips slightly to the right and pull that right arm up and over. Both arms super straight and strong. Be kind to your low backs. Pull those low bellies in. We're not back bending. We're not flexing. This is lateral extension. Press those feet into the floor for stability. Let your left arm do the majority of the work. Tighten up those glutes if you need a little bit more support. Keep squeezing the legs together. But relax the face. Maybe the shoulders move up a little bit. Maybe you need to shrug them down. Left arm is so strong, the head should be able to relax on that arm. Keep everything facing forward. One more breath. Inhaling. Exhale, big stretch. Now inhale, we gotta pull ourselves up. So use your muscles. Come up, up, up. Open those hands up. We just turned the light on in my house. Float those arms down. Turn the palms forward and pause. Relax your shoulders, let it go. Relax the head. That's actually a really powerful pose. It doesn't look like we're doing anything, but we're doing quite a bit there. Inhale, reach it up. Palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart. Okay, let's do one more standing pose tonight. I want us to do a nice big lunging pose to kind of open up the hips and stretch out the legs a little bit. So we might need to shift around on our mat. We'll want to face forward to the front of our mat. And now we want our feet hips width apart again. We don't want them together because we want to give ourselves a wider foundation. Let's start with our hands on our hips. Feel balance through both feet. And then on our inhale, we'll take a big step back with our right foot. Now we'll be in a high lunge, meaning we're on the ball of that back foot if that's an option. Our left knee is going to bend and it's going to stay over that ankle. We don't want it to move past those front toes. So if you need to widen your stance, widen or lengthen. Now make sure those hips are still square. We don't want to be hyperextending the low back. So I want to pull my belly in, drop my upper buttock down, tuck the tailbone under. And just doing that tilt in that pelvis, we should start to feel a big stretch here up the front of the right thigh. So really stay connected to the core and that low back for stability. Shrug the shoulders down. So in this version, on the inhale, adding the right arm, guess what? This pose, often done in a kneeling version, we're doing the standing version today, is also called Ardha Chandrasana, or half moon pose. But this time we're creating that crescent moon shape up the side of the body. A little bit more balance, we'll add the left arm. So both arms are reaching up. Again, keep the neck long, keep space here. Heart is opening. If we went a little bit more tonight, we're gonna take hold of opposite elbows behind the head. So I'm grabbing my elbows and drawing my upper arm bones back, almost like I'm lounging in a hammock. And I'm allowing my head to kind of rest into those forearms. Pulling my shoulder blades down, opening the heart. That tailbone's gotta be rooted, that belly's gotta be in. Press your right hip forward, feeling the stretch up the front of the right foot. Keep breathing. One more option. From lunge, if you want a big stretch for your Achilles and your calf, the heel is up in our balance. Without turning the heel in, like we do for Warrior One, sink that heel straight back and down to the ground. Now that's also going to depend on bone-to-bone compression in the front of the ankle. Some of us will not be able to do that regardless of how flexible we are, because you'll hit bone-to-bone compression. So if the heel doesn't touch, it might not be because you don't have the flexibility. It might be the structure of your skeleton. Take a big breath in. Exhale, release those arms down. Interweave the fingers behind you. Reach those knuckles down. Gaze upwards, keeping the neck long. Big breath in. On the exhale, release your grip, hands to hips, float the heel up, and try to step forward and up. Arms out, palms forward, Tadasana. Observe the body and the breath. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, float the arms back wide and down to those hips. Keep the feet hips width apart. Big step back with the left foot into our lunge. High lunge is a balancing pose. We're on the ball of the back foot. The hips stay square. Left hip forward, right hip back. Right knee is bent, flexing over that right ankle. Don't let it move past the toes. Lengthen your stance. If you're really off balance, widen your stance. Now draw the belly in, sink the upper buttock down, and scoop your tailbone actively. Get that tuck your pelvis, and we should start to feel this up the front of the left quad and hip flexor. Let the heart be open, let the head be relaxed on the shoulders. Crescent moon, Ardha Chandrasana. Inhale just the left arm up, creating this crescent moon shape through the left-hand side of the body. Good. Keep anchoring the tailbone, pulling that belly in. Next inhale, the right arm can join. Reaching up and back. Pull the head of those arm bones back. The neck is long. A little bit more. Try to switch and grab the opposite elbow. Crisscross your forearms the other way. If you're not sure how to do it, feels super weird, find the weirdest way to hold onto your elbows, and that's the opposite way. Now see if you can relax your head back and relax the head as if you're relaxing in a hammock. But the lower half of the body is super strong and stable. A little bit more intense stretching. See if we can sink that left heel straight back and down without turning it in at an angle. Really intense stretch for the Achilles and the calf. Might not be possible for some of us, regardless of how flexible we might be. There's a lot of postures that once we hit that bone-to-bone compression, doesn't matter how much you practice, how hard you try, unless you get your chisels out, it's not happening. It's our practice of letting go. It's not about the pose, it's about the journey. Eyes may look up, keep breathing, opening the heart, sinking the tailbone. Big breath in. Reach those arms up. Exhale, big reach around. Try to take the opposite grip here, opposite pinky in front. Pull those knuckles down. Shoulder blades back and down. Big breath in. Release that grip, hands to hips. Look forward, bring the heel up. Try to pull your body weight forward. Ooh. Tadasana. Turn the palms forward, pause and breathe. So if we moved around on our mat, let's resituate ourselves. We should be back to the top of our mat, so if you're there, stay there. Feet hips width apart, standing tall in our Tadasana. Front body to back body, head nice and light. Another inhale to reach wide and overhead. Drishti to thumbs with that gentle back bend. On this exhale, bend the knees, hinge from the hips. Be careful going back into this big forward fold. We just did a lot of extension, so use your legs, take your time. Those muscles might have tightened back up. If you want to go into further Uttanasana, you're welcome. Just keep your core nice and strong. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bend those knees, plant those hands. We're going to take a big step back, 1 foot at a time, into our plank position. So we got one more powerful pose to practice tonight, and that is side plank. Now look, a side plank, for whatever reason, isn't working for the body tonight because the shoulders are rest. Hold your regular plank. Drop to your knees. Let me remind us of our modification. So the modification would be to drop your left knee down underneath the hip, kickstand the left foot out, bring your weight to the left hand, instep of your right foot, and float the right arm up from here. So I'm on my left knee and left hand. I can reach my right arm over if I want to continue lengthening, or I can float my right leg up. That's the modification. Those of us that want to try to go into Vasisthasana, you bring the insides of the legs and feet to touch first. You turn your heels to the left. You lift up through the left side body. You stack your shoulders. Right arm reaches up. Your head must stay in line with the spine. Good choices. Wherever we are, smile and breathe for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Exhale, look down, unwind. However you got in the pose, reverse. You're either pausing a tabletop or plank. Breathe it in. Modify, drop your right knee right underneath the hip, kickstand the top of the foot out. Bring your weight into the right hand, instep of your left foot, stack your hips and shoulders, left arm up. Reach it over for more stretching, or hover the left leg for more strengthening. Full plank, feet and legs touching, heels drop to the right, stack the hips and shoulders, reach that left arm up. Press into the ground through the right arm, pull your right side up. Head's got to stay in line with that spine. Breathe and smile for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. Exhale. Look down. Take your time to unwind. Tabletop or plank. Big breath in. On the exhale, we can sink back to child's pose or downward facing dog. If you're in your child's pose, hang out there and breathe because we're all going to be there in just a second. Down dog, people. One more breath. Inhale, heels up, stretch up those toes. Exhale, drop the knees, point the toes. Sitting back in our child's pose, hands can sweep back to the feet, drop the head down, letting go of any pressure on our wrists, arms, or shoulders, and just breathe. Hands under the shoulders, tuck that chin. Inhale, round it on up. Shifting our weight over to either hip and bringing our feet forward. So I want us to get into a couple more lengthening, opening poses for our hips. So One is going to be that funky quad stretch. And then the next one might be supported bridge pose tonight, where we go into full bridge to open up the whole front of the body. So if we are going to go into full bridge, a yoga block on its low setting would be ideal. If you don't have a yoga block, a firmly folded towel or blanket. You don't want to be on something too soft, because that can get your hips to tilt and you can get your SI joints out of whack. A firm, like meditation cushion like I have would work. Just have those things beside you. We'll figure it out in a little bit, okay? We're gonna do our other pose first. So have some space behind the body. Either come to one side and walk yourself down to be safe for the back, or plant your feet. Pull the belly in, round the back, fingertips reach forward, and use the core muscles to slowly articulate and round down through the spine. The sacrum, the low back, middle back, shoulders, and head. Once we're all down, we're going to go right into our long body stretch. So stretch out the legs, arms overhead. Big breath in. Exhale the arms down, shoulder blades under, walk the feet in. Pull the belly in, loosen up clothing, make sure we're not any under kinks or folds. Hug those knees in. So try to listen to the verbal cues. If you haven't done this pose before, it can feel quite nice. It's a little funky. So to start, just cross your right ankle on top of the left. Just the ankles, and relax your feet. Now take your right hand and reach down and see if you can find the toes and top foot of your left foot. So the toes of your left foot. If you have the toes of your left foot, you got to float your right foot up just a little bit to get it out of the way. Now I'm going to draw my left foot to my right buttock, look at my left knee, and I want my left knee to move straight up, forward, and down. I do not want it to flare out like bound angle or Baddha Konasana pose. I want that knee to fall to the floor as much as possible, in line with my hip. Don't worry about the right leg right now, it's just hanging out in space. Now, if you're really tight, your low back's going to want to hyperextend off the mat. You're going to shift your hips to try to even out your low back and your hips. If you don't have a hold of the foot, that's okay too. If the foot's to the floor, you can just drop your knee down to the floor. Some of us might already feel the stretch up the front of the left thigh and the hip. Couple variations here. One is to take a hold of your right shin bone, draw your right knee to right shoulder while you encourage your left knee to the floor. We're receiving the stretch up the front of the left quad and a little bit through the hip flexor. So left quad and hip, shoulders down, face relaxed. Next variation for me, a lot more intense. I'm going to release my grip and bring the sole of the right foot to the floor in front of the ankle. Now this knee, I am going to let just fall open like bound angle pose. So my right knee is just falling open off the side of my mat. But I want my low back and my hips grounded and level. Big stretch for my left quad and hip flexor. Breathing. Even a little bit more. Arms reach overhead, grabbing opposite elbows. Walking my elbows to the top of my yoga mat. Maybe even closing the eyes for a moment and trying to take smooth, deep breaths in and out through the nose. Let go of any tension or tightness we might feel. Let's try one more breath. To come out of the pose, float the right knee up, release the arms down, pull the right knee in just enough so that you can slide your left foot out from underneath you. Plant both feet as wide as the hips and just gently rock them side to side. Not very far, just a little movement. And then pull both knees back into the body. This time, cross just the left ankle on top of the right ankle. Reach your left arm down and try to find the toes of your right foot, and the right foot is relaxed. If you can find the foot, we're going to start to pull it towards the left buttock. Hover the left foot up to get it out of the way. Look at your right knee. It's pointing straight up to the ceiling. We want to try to let it fall straight forward, drawing the right foot to the left buttock. This side is a lot tighter for me, so I can feel my low back hyperextending and my hips going crooked. So we really have to put some effort into leveling out the hips and the low back. Now you're welcome to stay here. You don't have to hold onto the foot. Square your shoulders, let them relax. Second variation, bring the hands to the left shin bone, draw the left knee to left shoulder, simultaneously encouraging the right knee down to the ground. Bigger stretch. Next variation, release the grip, left foot to the floor in front of the right ankle. Now the left knee may fall open like Baddha Konasana, intensifying the stretch up the right quad and hip flexor. Relax the face. Arms reach overhead. Try to get into that opposite grip of the elbows if you're gripping. Close the eyes. Take a couple deep breaths. And then our next inhale will float the left knee up. We have to pull the left leg in, slide the arms down, slide the right foot out from underneath the body. Both feet drop to the floor, little rock side to side. So to continue with this opening, our knees are still bent, feet should be hips width parallel to each other, taking a hold of our yoga block, shoulders tuck under, press down through the feet, tighten up the back of the body, press to the backs of the arms, float the hips up, and we place that block on its lowest setting under our sacrum, supported bridge pose. So our prop must support the weight of our pelvis and our hips. A little bit of flesh hanging off the front of your block of the buttocks is normal, but we want to support that whole lower flat part of the back. No pressure in the neck. You should still be able to slide your hand underneath the neck as it arches away from the ground. Weight to the shoulders is fine. Don't let your knees fall open here. Your knees should be pointing towards the toes. Option A, stay here, either with the arms relaxed open, palms up, or even cactus your arms if you want to get back into this hard opening. Elbows are bent to 90, the palms are up. Now some of us might want to go into Purna, Setu Bandhasana, or full bridge. So that means sliding one heel forward, straightening out that leg without over collapsing the knees, so keeping the foot somewhat active. If that feels okay, you can bring that foot back and test the waters with the other leg. You want to be careful about those low backs and side joints again. If that feels okay, both legs may stretch out. Full bridge, opening up the whole front half of the body, allowing the heart to be a little bit higher than the head. We'll hold for several deep breaths. Please choose the option that works best for your body tonight. Closing the eyes and breathing. And starting to focus a little bit more on the exhale. Let's all try to take one more deep round of breath in and out through the nose. At the bottom of that exhale, step the feet back in if they're extended, 1 foot at a time. Mindful movement. Ground the feet. Plant those upper arm bones back down beside the body. Press through the shoulders, the elbows. Tighten up the back side, so give your glutes a little bit of a squeeze. Lift up just enough, just a hair, to slide the prop out. Melt the low back to the ground. Pause for a moment. Let the low back sink. As you're ready, you may do a little rock side to side in the knees. Now, some of us tonight, we just spent a lot of time opening up the front of our hips and our quads. So we might not want to hug the knees in. We might want to keep that length and simply stretch our legs out into Shavasana. However, other of us might really feel that we need to pull our knees in to stretch our back muscles out again. And that's totally fine. And you might even feel like you need to drop your knees one side to the other side in a little bit more of a twist. And that's fine too. It's all okay. It all works. It's all yoga. Whatever we need to do, we're going to end up in a final resting place. So add extra support for the head. Cover the eyes as needed. And tonight, we're just going to go right into it. I want you to use your own mental cues to tell the body to relax, to mentally repeat the words, let go, or just breathe, or mentally repeat the mantra Om over and over again. Let go of controlling the body. Let go of controlling the breath. Let everything sink through the floor into the ground. If the mind does wander, bring it back to that internal mantra that we're mentally repeating over and over again. Bring it back to the peaceful breath. Or rest it at our heart center tonight, our place of gratitude and unconditional love. So we'll slowly come back to the rhythm of our breath. Breathe life back to the body as we wake up the toes, the fingertips, a gentle rock of the head side to side, rolling out our wrists and our ankles. Next, inhale, long body stretch, re-extending the arms overhead, flexing and pointing the feet, creating space and length in our body. And then on the exhale, float those arms down, walk the feet in, draw the knees in to rock out that low back. Bring the right arm beside the head. We'll pause on our right side for a moment. And then keeping the eyes soft or closed, pressing into the ground, bringing our bodies back up. And one more time, revisiting any comfortable seated pose to take just a couple more breaths tonight together. So let's sit up nice and tall. We should feel 2 inches taller through our whole body this evening. Let's float our arms out beside the body and turn those palms up. Another deep breath in to float our arms up and create the space and length and gather up whatever it is we need for the rest of our night. Turn those palms back out, exhaling the arms all the way back down to the ground and letting go of all that other stuff that we don't need tonight. One more inhale to reach up. Bring the palms to touch, exhale, hands to heart. Humbly bow the head down to the heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, and anyone else that made it possible for us to practice our yoga together tonight. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace.